Hola, amigos. 5 things I want to talk. This is Legion of Zoom officially, although the Legion is not with me. Week 8, Seahawks headed to Atlanta. Our fearless Lord and Savior, our best friend Mike McDonald's homecoming to the South, to Atlanta. So I want to touch on that. First off, 5 things I want to touch on this episode. 1, just an update for Legion of Zoom Week 8. Where is the Legion? Why am I solo? 2, the podcast in general. Alex Youngblood podcast over the last 2 months has just turned into Mike McDonald's celebratory Zoom calls, which is incredible and will continue. 3, Georgia Bulldogs / college football. 4, the Seahawks. And 5, the NFL in general. So those 5 things I want to touch on today's episode. Get this joint started, get my mind in the right state. I want to enter a state of problem smoking weed in the podcast is smoking weed I find to be a highly physically performance enhancing drug. It puts me in a place physically when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, especially doing yoga, where like it puts me in a flow state where I have like no thoughts really, and I feel like I'm actually accessing a higher state of consciousness that's like beyond thought. The stereotype with stoners, I think most of the time though, is people smoke a lot of weed. And maybe just it's not everybody, but when you enter that state of consciousness that's beyond thought, it's also beyond words and communication, right? To me, it seems like you're kind of communing with universal consciousness. Same thing happens when you're on psychedelics, but it also, and honestly, genuinely, I think it's like a post kind of thought, human cognition, post-verbal communication state of consciousness. I think that's the state of consciousness that extraterrestrials are in, like that standard gray alien with the big head. Reports that you hear of people that have interacted with extraterrestrials say that it's like they're communicating telepathically. So I think these tools, marijuana, psychedelics, are helping our consciousness reach that higher level beyond the use of verbal words and language. Unfortunately though, we are still in this dimension, so I'm trying to like play both games. I'm trying to like have one foot in that higher consciousness dimension and one foot in this earthly dimension, and so you still need to use the tools of this earthly realm to communicate, right? And so smoking weed can inhibit your verbal communication, right? It can inhibit your typical kind of like 2 + 2 = 4 cognition. To me, once again, I'm not trying to sound like arrogant or anything, but I really do feel like it helps you access it takes work, it takes experience with the plant medicine, with the tools to get to that higher plane of consciousness. It takes time and work and work and patience with the medicines, but I really do feel like it helps us access that higher consciousness. But it does affect your ability to communicate like verbally and smoothly. So I'm really trying to find that balance on the podcast. I know it helps me with jiu-jitsu with jiu-jitsu and yoga and physical performance. I'm just trying to really find the balance of whether or not it helps me with verbal communication. It definitely helps me like access different types of thinking or thinking outside of the box, so to speak. But I don't know if it helps with verbal communication. Anyway, it's week 8 of the NFL season. No, it's not. It's week 7 of the NFL season, week 8 of the college football season. Last night, I fired up the Legion of Zoom. The plan was to get the boys on the pod at the end of the UGA Texas game. UGA number 5, I think it was. UGA at number 1 Texas. Arguably the biggest regular season game in college football history, SEC football history. And the Bulldogs pulled it out. Great game. I went to the University of Georgia. Most of the dudes from this Zoom call went to the University of Georgia. Our fearless Lord and Savior, Mike McDonald, went to the University of Georgia. And so that's like a thing that unites us all. So we've attempted to do these kind of live watch-alongs with the Seahawks and now last night with UJ, and it's tricky, right? Because everyone's computer has to be on the same time. I hate watching sports live. I'd rather just watch the replay the next day or later on in the day. So we tried it last night, and a few people logged on. Dude, I was late. Like, it was pushing midnight on the East Coast. Honestly, I wasn't really feeling it. I was also like 10 joints deep at that point, and for me, it was pushing 9 o'clock on the West Coast, 8 o'clock. That's my bedtime anyway. So we chit-chatted, but I didn't record anything, so I'm just going to kick a solo right now. And it's like the Seahawks game, I think, is actually over right now. Seahawks are in Atlanta. once again, that's where most of the Legion of Zoom is from. Most of us are from. Most of our fearless Lord and Savior, our best friend Mike McDonald, is from. And so it's a cool homecoming game. So I actually was really looking forward to getting everybody on, but we'll get them back on later in the week. I'm going to kick it solo for this episode. Also because I thought about just sending out the Zoom link now and see who could hop on and just like a random Sunday afternoon, but they've all know the result of the game, and I don't know the result of the game. I'm not going to watch it till later tonight, or tomorrow even. So yeah, I'm just going to do it solo. Okay, so that's where we're at for week 8, for whatever fucking week it is. Seahawks are playing the Falcons this week. UJ just beat the Longhorns in Texas. Pimp or something in my mouth, I don't know. So that's the timeline. We'll get the boys back on for week 9, and we're going to keep doing this shit every week for the NFL season. I know for a lot of people and probably a lot of listeners, this means fucking nothing, right? I love Joe Rogan, and before I became an MMA fan, he used to do these MMA podcasts. I was like, what the fuck, man? I want to hear scientists or whatever. And I imagine like he gets a fraction of the listenership for his MMA pods that he does for his just regular pods. I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, I can see my listenership going down the more of these leisures of Zoom things we're going to do, but it's who I am, and it's what I'm excited about right now. So we're going to keep doing it the whole season. But it is very interesting because, quite frankly, I'm not really into football that much anymore. I grew up loving football. That's what was like first bonded me and Mike together, was watching football with this our camp counselor Dan, and I love football all throughout my childhood, but I'm not like that into it anymore. I really like MMA. I really like martial arts. I really like following UFC as far as like entertainment and distraction is concerned. It's cool. Like I like NFL and fantasy football because it bonds people together. Me and my buddy Lucas have a fantasy football team together, so it bonds us together. Sports bring people together, and it helps me. Without Mike being the coach of the Seahawks, I never would have sent out the Zoom link for the past 2 months on a weekly basis and catching up with dudes from high school and college and all that shit. So it's cool. It brings people together, but like I'm not passionate about it. I'm not passionate about the NFL like I'm passionate about jiu-jitsu, of course, yoga, of course, meditation, of course, but also like, how to put it, like politics in a sense, or my like libertarian way of thinking, anti-government way of thinking, or things like that. I'm not as passionate. There's plenty of other things in life I'm more passionate about and that I know will actually be more of the direction of the podcast going forward. But it's a cool uniting thing that brings us together now. And quite frankly, I don't have expertise in fucking space, which I'm more passionate about, or politics, which I'm more passionate about. I have an undergrad in international affairs, which I'm more passionate about than football. But like, honestly, I have more of an expertise in at least spectatorship of these major sports. So I've been doing that my whole life. So at least I can bring like context and experience to the discussion of sports. So yeah, it's cool. It's good reps for me as far as the future of the podcast is concerned and everything. These weekly Legion of Zoom discussions and podcasts are, more than anything, for me personally, selfishly, are reps. Just like working out reps. They're practice, like holding myself accountable to putting up a podcast every week. Practice speaking in front of a microphone every week. Practice managing my energy levels and my content. I'm not ever going to censor myself, but it's there is a more effective way to communicate your messages, and often the way I communicate could be like almost like angry and rah, and I say controversial and offensive shit, and I don't mean to say offensive shit. I do mean to say offensive shit sometimes, just as a means of like pushing the boundaries of thinking and kind of just establishing my principles that like words are just words. It's about your intent, right? So I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I understand people may take offense, but my intent comes usually when those, I do say quote unquote offensive things, just come from a place of humor. That's really my intent. My intent is to make people laugh, spread joy, by pushing the boundaries. And people might be offended by that, and that's cool too. But it's like, it comes from a place of love and a willingness to spread joy. And I think that's really what matters, is someone's intent, not like the sounds they're making with their mouth. That's more along the lines of going back to smoking weed and higher levels of consciousness and connecting, communicating with other beings beyond verbal communication, beyond just like sounds, right? Understanding someone's actual intent from their heart, from their brain. And we won't fully be able to realize that until we do reach a place of kind of almost mind melding and telekinesis in a way. We can truly understand each other's intent. What the fuck am I talking about? Football. So the podcast for the rest of the way will be, for the rest of the NFL season, we'll keep doing this shit, and we'll see about next season for the Seahawks and all that. Hopefully, I don't know. one week at a time, one season at a time. But definitely the rest of the season, we're going to keep putting these bitches up. But I am also going to start doing my traditional interviews back up. This week, I'm going to put up on Wednesday the third part of my interview with Alberto Crane, my martial arts sensei and master, and a man I respect deeply. After that, I'll either go with an interview I did with Grace, Miss Grace, who is a teacher at JoJo and Emmeline's, the two little girls I take care of preschool. She's had incredible life stories, an inspiring human being, and I sat down with her in her apartment and did a long interview with her about her life story. I'll throw that bad boy up the following week. And then I was on Alberto Crane's podcast as well, and his podcast is much larger, much greater audience, and we had a really cool conversation and just kind of about my life story. That's like more condensed than the first time I've ever really been on someone else's podcast, them interviewing me about my life story, where I wasn't really in charge and I was more of a guest, and it was just it was cool, man, but it got taken down from YouTube for whatever reason. I said nothing in there that should be censored or by any ways removed from the internet. It's fucking ridiculous. It pisses me off. I've ranted about before on this podcast, but it's up. The audio version is up on podcast platforms, The Alberto Crane Show. I think my interview is number 301. I'm going to get a copy of that, hopefully get the full original video copy of that, and put it up on my podcast as well. So Legion of Zoom continues every week, but also additionally, I'm going to attempt to at least, attempt for 2 podcasts a week. Maybe like Wednesday, put up a regular interview, a normal AYP or Alex Young Web podcast interview, and then on the weekends do a continue with the Legion of Zoom throughout the football season. Is kind of what I'm thinking going forward. So we got Alberto Crane, part 3. We got Grace, Miss Grace, preschool teacher, amazing human being. And we got me on Alberto's, are the 3 non-Legion of Zoom, non-football podcasts coming up. And from there, that's all I've got in the bank right now. I've got some ideas of other people I want to interview, and I'll keep doing that. And then the podcast is going to continue to evolve. It's not always just going to be these interview-based stuff. In fact, what will most likely be the future of the podcast is these kind of solo rants, what I'm thinking in my head right now. But like I learned on my last vagabond trip out into the world, when I was traveling in South America in 2019 before I moved to LA in 2020, man, and kind of the guiding philosophy of everything I'm trying to do and still struggle on a daily basis to do, used to be, until I got this new computer, the wallpaper on my screen was a picture of a wall in Cusco, Peru, that I saw the day I was walking back from visiting Machu Picchu. Just spray paint on this wall, clear as day. Deja de hablar y hacer. In Spanish, that means stop talking and do it. So I talk a big game. I talk a lot of shit and things I'm going to do this and that, and I don't always live up to it. So I need to do and not talk, which is why I love this Legion Zoom, because podcast, because it holds me accountable to show up every week. And dude, I don't know why I even do this shit, man, but I know I'm going to keep doing it. It's not, I don't know why I'm doing this in like a way that's like, what am I doing? I know 100% this is what I should be doing, but it's not like there's an explicitly clear direction or something that I'm trying to accomplish. I just want to communicate I just have this overwhelming desire. Sorry, windows are open and it's LA. All these helicopters you should find overhead. It's military or something. I just have this overwhelming desire to like share what's inside of me. Almost like it's not even me. Almost like I'm just like this physical vehicle for like this virus that I've been infected by that must express itself through my mouth. Does that make any sense? It's almost like the things that are coming out of my mouth aren't even me. I'm just like the physical vehicle that's delivering them. That like takes a lot of accountability off away from pretty stupid shit I say, but that's what I'm just trying to honestly express to you what it feels like. Obviously, it's me. At the end of the day, it's me. I have to I'm accountable for everything I say and comes out of my mouth, and I'm down for that. I'm down to play that game as long as I'm here, and I'm gonna do it. I'll say whatever I believe and believe in, and that is bubbling inside me, and I don't give a fuck what the consequences are. I'll deal with it. I'm always gonna speak what I feel to be the truth, and not only that. Additionally, going forward, talking about do it before talking about, but I'll talk about it like more actively explore the truth, rather than I feel like I'm a passive participant in truth exploration at the moment. Like I'm just sitting back doing my thing in life, and like more just kind of spectating and observing, almost like I don't even really want to be here on this earth. There's like I was placed here, and so I'm just spectating and observing it, like reluctantly, like this almost like reluctant participant in life. And now in this next phase of my life, as a grown man, I'm 36 years old. As a grown man, I want to more actively participate in the life experience and be an active seeker of truth. And Mike McDonald has inspired me to do that, honestly, dude. I know this little tiny little boy, Mike McDonald, man. I knew when he was fucking 9, 10 years old, I was in elementary school, and I always knew he was a special guy, but to see this flower fully bloom into itself, and he's just in the nascent stages of his NFL coaching career, is so inspiring. I love him so much for that, and he's inspiring me to do that as well, to not be this kind of, at times, many times, like manically depressed, reluctant participant in life, like this little chicken that hatched on this earth and is like not scared, but like doesn't even want to be here, really, or didn't ask to be here on earth in life experience, where it's like, well, you're here, so either leave, which I've considered many times, like taking my own life, or I don't mean to bring the podcast to that point, I'm not saying that at all as I rant by myself into a camera. I mean, just like accepting the burden of life, which it can be sometimes, and the beauty of life, and all that it encompasses, and actively thrusting yourself into that experience, into that flow, into the flow of energy that is this earthly existence, and just kind of looking at life as a game, like you're kind of like this player character in the simulation, which you may be, and just saying like, yeah, the game wouldn't be fun if there wasn't hardship, right? So there's goals, there's hardship, there's good things, there's bad things, just like playing the game in a more active and cool way. Oh, I gotta turn my jersey around back. Sorry, Coach Mike. Playing the game in a more active way. And like directly identifying things you want to do. And so for me, I want to talk shit and do this podcast and kind of everything we've been rambling about since then. Or over the past, fucking 60 minutes. Okay, so that's this week in the podcast. That's the future of the podcast. Those are two of the three things I kind of wanted to get out there. Also just in life in general, just kind of explanation of where I'm in life and like how it relates to the podcast. All I do all day, listen, I help get the girls ready in the morning. Their father drops them off. I go to the gym. I'm at the gym basically all while the girls are at school. Right now, I'm training hard Monday, Wednesday, Friday, yoga, gi jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, which is kickboxing, no gi jiu-jitsu. So about 4 hours of training every day. Then I do about some meditation formally after that. So that's like a full day. The girls go to their school. I go to my school. I train hard Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This kind of been the plan for the last few weeks. I used to try to train every day, but it was like random what days I would wake up and feel good to train and not. So I was training most days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but it was uncertain. So now I'm just like programming the rest days. Tuesday, Thursday, rest days. I might do some drilling some jiu-jitsu drilling on the dummy, maybe some drilling on some Muay Thai drilling on the bag, definitely yoga and some foam rolling, always meditation, but mostly Tuesday, Thursdays are active rest. Then on the weekends, I'm picking either Saturday or Sunday to go in and spar, either Muay Thai spar on Saturdays, open mat jiu-jitsu rolling on Sundays, or additionally coming up, I'll start doing MMA sparring on Sundays. And once I start doing MMA sparring on Sundays, then my training schedule will change up a little bit. But right now I'm focused on two big jiu-jitsu tournaments. One on November 2nd and November 9th. November 2nd in Stockton, California. November 9th in Long Beach. I've never done that before. Two jiu-jitsu tournaments in 1 week, let alone in a month. So it'll be crazy. But my mom's flying out here for it. And so it'll be very cool to be a little kid again. Just like when I was, friends with Coach Mike, my mom to come out and see me in a competition. Like she used to watch me play soccer and basketball and football and all that shit. So I'm really excited about that. Kind of trying to train hard for that. But my days are full. Just doing stuff I like. Because then as soon as that's over, I go pick up the girls. We go to the park. We come home. We, unpack. And then it's meditation, shower, and basic dinner and bedtime. And I only eat once a day. Like, I don't know where the time goes. I don't have like a full-time job or career that I'm pursuing, so I always feel like I should have more time, but I guess when you're training like 5 hours a day martial arts, on some days it's 4 hours. The time adds up. So anyway, I'm just trying to stay focused. I don't have a ton of free time, which is, I guess is my point about getting the podcast up, but I'm just trying to more thoroughly develop my weekly routine, be much more explicit about my goals and direction and things I'm doing. But in general, that's what I'm pursuing. My priorities in life are, one, the JoJo and Emily, the little girls I take care of. I love them more than anything in the world. Two, my development, like my physical development as a martial artist, as a human being. I guess three, then this podcast. And those like the three things. Dude, I have no fucking social, I thought the four social life. I basically have no social life. I hook up with some girls every now and then. I don't have any like platonic, I mean, I do have platonic friends, but I don't have any bros that really hang out on the weekends. I have Lucas here, which I'm super grateful for. I'm at the gym all day long, so there's all kinds of like-minded people in there that I'm friends with, but I don't really hang out with any of them outside of the gym. I'm not seeing any girls seriously. I have like sexual encounters, I don't know, once a month, and that's it, man. But I'm pretty happy and pretty stable, honestly. Like not the most happy necessarily, but most. It's been a nice like year-long period of stability. Almost year-long period of stability. But all in all, feeling very stable and relatively happy, feeling good about life and where things go. I need to add in the social life. I need to add in a nice, stable, romantic relationship. And then ultimately, children and building a home. That's a home and a family. And but now we're talking kind of more 10, 20-year timeline. I'm pushing this, but it's good to know that I want those things. I didn't know if I ever even really wanted those things coming. I just want to be like a fucking nomad running the planet my whole life. And I guess that's still on the table. But no, I think I want to establish a home base with a loving life partner and obviously children. I definitely want children. I know that. So I'm way off course at this point. We're only 20 minutes in. So yeah, that's the direction of my life right now as it relates to the podcast and everything. I think that's about it. I'm gonna take a piss, and as I do that, I'm gonna bring you with me. No censorship here. Now let's start the podcast, and we'll start talking college football. College football first, just because college football always comes first. Dude, college football is fucking back. I think I enjoy college football now more than NFL. I wasn't even following college football at all over the last several years. But with the transfer portal, paying these fucking players, the dispersion of talent across the nation, right? All the talent is now that players can be bought. The talent isn't all coerced solely in the major traditional powerhouses in college football, because that, without paying the players openly as it was in the past, that was the currency, was playing at a big name school, right? Now the currency is fucking currency. And so Vanderbilt can pay a fuck ton of money to get some solid players and then beat Alabama. So the parity is increasing across college football, which is ironic because that's what the NFL's always been known for. Also, the NFL is so smoothly run. They're so good. There's less the games are more predictable. And it's just, college football is less predictable and it's just more fun now. There's more upsets, there's more parity. The level of play is worse, which actually makes it better. There's more fumbles, there's more turnovers, kickers are missing kicks. So I actually find college football much more enjoyable. I've been watching the last couple of weeks, full college football games of teams that's I'm a UJ and LSU fan. I'll watch their full games maybe once or twice a season, but now I'm watching yesterday I watch all of Tennessee, Alabama, in the background as I'm doing folding laundry and shit, but I'm watching full fucking college football games. It's super entertaining. The 12-team playoff, college football is fucking back. And the dogs are fucking back. UJ beat Texas last night. No fucking problem. I don't think many of the Legions, I think only one member of the Legion of Zoom that I'm aware of was out there for the game. But yeah, UJ's back. I don't know the rest of the schedule. I was on my head. I was maybe I'll pull up the schedule, break down the schedule for UJ. I don't give a fuck. I don't even know the Seahawks, but I don't know when anyone plays in the following week. 1 week at a fucking time. But dogs are looking good. LSU's looking good, and that's very exciting because I love both those teams. And college football is very cool. Good chance that Georgia makes, and we've got 12-team playoff coming up. Some of those games are at home. The playoff games are at the home stadiums, which is awesome. And I don't know where national championship game is. But if the Dogs make it, very good chance a number of the members of Legion of Zoom will be up for the Natty, wherever it is. That's college football. Excited about that. Seahawks. Seahawks are 3-3. Started off 3-0, as we talked about last week. Shit was hot. Mike's stock was through the roof. Last 3 weeks, 3 games in 11 days. Lost all 3 of them. 0-3, evening up the record at 3-3. Now people talking shit, but now people are questioning this new young head coach, and not just new young head coach, first year head coach, everyone in the coaching staff, all the major players, right? Adam Durde, defensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator, I believe it's Jay Harbaugh, special teams coordinator. All these dudes are first time working together, right? It's not like McDonald brought these dudes in. Adam Durde was at Washington. Ryan Grubb was at University of Washington. Adam Durde, I think maybe was with the Cowboys. Jay Harbaugh was at Michigan. So, all these dudes are figuring each other out. The team's figuring each other out. They've had injuries all across the offensive line and across the defensive wall, but everyone's dealing with injuries. So, they head to Atlanta. They got about 10 days off after last Thursday Night Football loss to the 49ers. They head to Atlanta this week to take on the Falcons, who have a super talented offense. And it's homecoming. It's homecoming game for Mike, head coach Mike McDonald, our Lord and Savior and best friend. That's where we grew up. We grew up in fucking Atlanta. And so it's crazy. I know he has a ton of fucking people that are going to be at that game. Hopefully it's not a big distraction. Hopefully stay focused. One of his good friends, a new member of the Legion of Zoom, texted me yesterday and said that he saw our Lord and Savior Mike McDonald on Saturday afternoon, and he's dedicating this game to the Legion of Zoom. And so it's very good to hear that Coach Mike is a avid listener. We knew that already, but it's good to know that we're on his, the LOZ is on his mind, even as he's preparing for the biggest game of his career. Every game is the biggest game of his career at this point, right? Or every next game. So it's gonna be a super interesting game. The game is actually over as I'm recording this, so I'm excited to sit down and. What am I talking about? I'm excited to watch it. I'm not excited to sit down. I don't like sitting down. It's a beautiful day outside in LA. I need to wrap this shit up and get out of here and do something outside with my life. So yeah, hopefully Seahawks get the win. They're underdogs, slight underdogs going in. I think I made 3-point dogs +3, I believe it was, something along those lines. Basically a pick'em game if this were on a neutral field. So, I don't know, man. It's just so fucking cool that this motherfucker is head coach of the Seahawks, man. It makes me fucking live in a dream every day still. I'm so excited. Once again, I'm not a huge fucking NFL fan. It's like the more I think about following the NFL, I'm like, God, what a fucking waste of time. Because I know this dude's going to be in the league for the next fucking 50 years or whatever. It's like, God damn it, I gotta fucking follow the NFL now until I'm dead, right? So, but that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just so excited for him. It's just so cool that this is happening. It does get me invested back in like a NFL, wearing fucking jerseys and shit and fantasy football, and it gives you like this childhood joy and excitement, which I used to think was like immature and you should be dedicating your life to like, I don't know. Dude, I used to sit down and just like read Che Guevara's Wikipedia page, like historical figures Wikipedia pages, and like study tax rates. Like different sales tax rates and local and municipal tax rates across the United States. Like that's what I should be my time doing. Maybe. If that brings you joy, definitely. But I don't know if it brought me joy, if it's an obsession, right? With me, that's always a struggle. Am I actually into this shit, or am I just obsessed with it? So it's cool to actually feel joy and excitement and feel like a little kid again with this NFL shit. NFL in general, speaking of which, my Vikes, it's so funny, man. I grew up a Vikings fan my entire life, though, when our fearless leader, Lord and Savior, our best friend, head coach Mike McDonald, and I met back in the day in like 97, 98. It was, through, as I've said, a camp counselor of ours, this guy, Dan. Dan was from Minnesota. I didn't have a dad or a father figure in my life at that point. He became that. He's a huge Vikings fan. I started going with him in 1997 to watch the Vikings at sports bars and became a Vikings fan my whole life. Up until this season, I'm all in on the Seahawks because of Mike. But dude, this year the Vikings are fucking sick. Dude, they're 5-0. They have a huge game against the Detroit Lions. This is the farthest into a season I haven't watched a single full Vikings game. I've seen all their highlights, but I couldn't name their roster aside from like the major players. I haven't watched a full one of their games. Dude, I used to be the most diehard Vikings fan. I would watch every snap of every game. Dude, from fucking 1997 through COVID, I watched every snap of every Vikings game ever, or up during that period, roughly, in the background or whatever. So it's crazy. Now they're fucking sick. So we'll see. I'm excited about that. I'm hopping back in, not on the bandwagon. Fuck y'all. I'm not on the bandwagon. Not fuck y'all that I'm talking to no one. The voices in my head. I have not been following the Vikings closely, but I'm all back in. 5-0 Vikes. I've put in what? Pushing 30 years with this squad, so I'm back in on the Vikes this year. And their team is so young and talented, and whether it's Sam Darnold or the fucking dude they drafted out of Michigan, who Coach Mike worked with, they have a very open championship window. And the Vikings have never won a Super Bowl, and this is probably, as far as rosters and outlook over the next 3 to 5 years, this might be the most promising the squad has ever looked since I started watching them in the late 90s. So I got to get back in on them. The NFL in general is cool. I was thinking about maybe going down through the standings and shit, but I'm not going to do that. Go Seahawks. Go Vikings. Go Dogs. Go LSU. Hopefully LSU and UJ end up in the SEC championship game. That'd be awesome. Battle for my heart. I used to love those games. When they would meet. Okay, that's about it. We're 30 minutes in. I think that's a perfect little solo pod. LOZ will be back. The full Legion. I don't know who. Listen, this is how the shit works with the Legion Zingman episodes. About 24 to 48 hours before, I just send out. We have a text group of like 10 to 20 people. And I just say, we're going live tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Or we're going live Sunday afternoon, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, right? It's just random. I send the link out. We don't plan anything. We don't discuss anything. I just say, basically 24, 40 hours in advance, let's hop on a Zoom call at this time, this day and time. Try to do it before, that Sunday's game. Usually it's Friday or Saturday. And when that time comes, I send out the link, and whoever hops on. And nothing is planned. I never know if anyone's going to hop on, or no one's going to hop on. People just hop on randomly throughout. So that's how it works. That's why it's fucking chaos and a shit show, which is cool. That's how it'll keep being for the most part. Maybe try to dial it in a little bit more. But yeah, that's how it works. And so that's what we'll keep doing. I'm just going to send out the link, and we'll see who hops on for the next few weeks. It's cool to do this little solo one. Good to know that I can just rant for 30 minutes when needed. I think that's it. I love you all. Normal podcast coming this week. And be blessed. Be water. Be air. Meaning just like be. Don't try to be anything other than what you're made out of, which is air and water. Just like, I'm not sure exactly what that means. It's like Bruce Lee. That's part of Bruce Lee's philosophy, right? Be water. Just like flow into everything and just like be yourself. Don't try to be anything. Don't try to be anything. Just be. Breathe, air, wind, water, flow. Let me fire up the fucking J-ski and get a little life flow before I head out. I was going to have a J-ski on this episode. Be water, motherfuckers. Just be. I'm not sure exactly what I mean by that, but I think we should all just like try less. I don't know. Not that we shouldn't work hard. Hard work is good, but it's like, I don't know. I think there's a way to work harder, quote unquote, by trying less. That doesn't mean doing less, but like trying less. Just like be yourself and flow, and the work will come out of that, I think. It's like, don't resist who you are, I believe. It's is kind of what that means to be water. And I'm thinking about being air as well, not just water, but air. Like, what's the difference? Water has more of a physical form than air, so that's kind of cool to be air. Be fire, burn things down. It's kind of cool too. Like if you're fire doesn't think about being fire, just be fire. Although human beings aren't necessarily made of fire, they are made of water and air. So maybe make fire, but don't be fire. I don't know. But I think a lot of life, we overthink a lot of life. And it's much simpler. I think we'd all be a lot happier and calmer and more stable and better people and better friends and parents and brothers and sisters if we almost tried less hard in a way. Or kind of just like by like elevating our consciousness, we're kind of like doing less. We're trying to be something other than what we just are at our core. I'm really struggling for the words right now, and that's what I'm talking about, both the weed and these kind of higher levels of consciousness. It's I just know there's something very, I think we need to return to kind of more fundamental ways of being in a way, if that makes any sense. It seems like a lot of people are working very hard and running and moving and getting to work on time and traffic and hustling and stress. And it's like, for what? It's not like this, I can pin it. We all work and act on a daily basis. Like, it's like Armageddon, the movie Armageddon with Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck. And there's like some meteor hurling towards Earth. And we're all in like a rush to save it, but there's not. I mean, there probably is. I mean, there has been in the past and there will be in the future, a meteor that hits Earth, but as far as we know, not right now. We're all acting as if there's like this imminent need to move, do, wake the kids up at 8 a.m. and get them to school. For what? Are we like trying to win a war? We're trying to prepare these kids like soldiers in a war. At the end of the day, at the end of all this, you're going to take your last breath and just be. You're not going to have any choice but to be nothing right at that point, at least as far as this terrestrial existence is concerned. So I think we should all just kind of practice, just get comfortable with that feeling of just like, being. And that doesn't mean you're going to sit around all day, stare off in the stars, smoking weed, but I think it does mean that the things you dedicate your time and energy to will be more authentically you. And the way that you do them will be done in a more authentic and in fact more powerful way ultimately. But I think we're all just like waking up, just like acting on these like cognitive impulse, these like thoughts just start firing. We just start acting on all the thoughts rather than just like transcending above the thoughts instead of operating like in here, operating up here. Just like being and then flowing into the action of the day rather than like being stuck in the cognition and responding to that like you're like under this cloud of threat of what that doesn't exist, you know? Everything's going to be okay. Like you really could just sit around all day and meditate and breathe, just focus on your breath, and that would be cool. Like the person that you are tomorrow or the world that you wake up tomorrow wouldn't be any different. So why stress yourself out so much? And that's not to say everyone's running around doing stressful shit, but I see a lot of people very stressed out. I would say most people that I encounter, especially in LA, don't seem like they're engaged, like they're spending their time how they want to spend their time. Or it's like they think they are, but they're not being present in the moment, and thus it's like they're constantly like chasing the moment or the thing that they want to do. It's like they're going to work so they can be with their kids, but when they're they're going to work so they can feed their kids, but when they're feeding their kids, they're not present feeding their kids, or they go to work so they can spend time with their kids, but they work all day stressed out about that and thinking about not spending time with the kids. But then with their kids are stressed out and thinking they're not present with their kids. They're thinking about work and what they should be doing elsewhere. So it's like they're never present. Always like chasing the moment. But it's like the moment's right here. Whether or not you're talking by yourself into a camera, you're watching the Seahawks, you're doing yoga, you're driving to work, or you're eating dinner with your kids. This is it right here. You know, there's nothing else beyond that. So I think we should just kind of scramble and hurry less and stress less, because it's we're just here, you know, hanging out, kind of, and trying to do things we want to do and being good people. But I don't see anything that like we're chasing necessarily, you know, that should cause such anxiety. But I think it's just like the threat, like that's just how we're programmed to stay alive. But our survival is kind of more or less guaranteed now, but that survival instinct is still there. And so instead of going out and hunting or running away from the warring tribe that's, you know, in the other part of the forest, we still have that kind of same fight or flight mentality about like getting our spreadsheets finished, or you know, getting a little kindergartner ready for school in the morning. Like these should be very calm, loving moments, not necessarily spreadsheets, but there's a way you could do your spreadsheets in a calm, I guess, loving way. I don't know. I don't do spreadsheets. But it seems like a lot of us are just like, just get this shit done rather than just be here, be present with whatever you're doing. Anyway, I'm Brad. Yeah, I love you all. Be water, be air, be yourself, be kind. Do not be afraid of anything. There's nothing to be afraid of. I think is the biggest. There's nothing to be afraid of. We're all here now, and we'll be gone at some point. And as long as you're just being yourself, like being true to yourself, being true to those other beings you interact with, and being kind to them, and being kind to yourself, there's nothing to be afraid of. Like there's no right or wrong that you're to be done, or like mistakes to be made. Everything just kind of is what it is. All right, I'm truly rambling, and I can even tell that I'm not fully expressing my thoughts, but I promise they're more profound than I'm verbally capable of doing right now. I love you all. Godspeed, and I'll see you all next week.